Welcome everyone to the United Nations Associations of Minnesota. This is FADIA THABET, HUMPHREY alumni from last year, and today I'm lucky and I have Humphrey fellows for this year, Christine from South Sudan. Welcome, Christine.
Thank you, Fadia.
Can you just tell me a little bit about yourself and your experience?
Thank you, Fadia. Again, I'm Christine Lukudu, an international Humphrey Fellow 2016-2017 group, and I'm currently focusing on public policy, mainly governance issues. Before coming for my Humphrey Fellowship, I was working with a development organization, World Bank, as an operations analyst, and my main role was coordinating project activities, coordinating project activities. I've worked with the World Bank for close to 7 years. Before the World Bank, I worked with NGOs, the government sector, the private sector, as well as the public sector. I have a master's in business administration from the University of Central Lancashire in the United Kingdom, and I also have a bachelor's of science in information technology from Kenya. Thank you.
My second question is, can you tell me a little bit about your experience in South Sudan, about the topic that we have this year, the youth unemployment?
Yes, like I said, I've been working with a number of organizations, both in the public, private, and non-government sector for almost close to 10 years combined. At various levels, I've also interacted with youth. Youth is a very big issue in South Sudan. And the greatest problem that is facing youth at the moment is unemployment. And unemployment is triggered by many other factors that preclude the unemployment, such as school dropouts. We have many school dropouts, and because of poverty, many kids are forced to drop out. And if they drop out, of course, they grow up and become idle. They end up being involved in crime, and of course those who are not involved in crime will be, of course, unemployed and may be forced to engage in other activities that would not be beneficial for the society. Thank you.
My third question, what do you think from your experience in South Sudan will be applicable to other countries dealing with the same issues related to the youth unemployment?
Yes, so South Sudan is still a very new country, and of course it has more challenges than many other developing countries. It currently is trying to deal with the youth unemployment issue by creating job opportunities, which of course is not a very easy task. One of the steps the government has taken is, for example, targeting youth from the rural areas and ensuring they participate in community infrastructure or activities where they may not need core skills. So most of these jobs are semi-skilled or partially skilled. For example, road construction, latrine construction, school construction, building simple schools. These are skills which they can be involved in.
But this is all this what you mentioned. This is a physical jobs,
Yes.
like hard working and hands job.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. And at different levels, for example, in the city, getting to create jobs for youth is not the easiest thing because the population is also high in the city. So, and there are a number of educated people in the cities, and the jobs are fewer. The biggest threat we have actually is from the rural areas, because many of the rural youth migrate to to the cities, and they usually cause crime in the city. So another thing government has focused on is building technical institutes to give people education, and also in the long run create these people can become beneficial to the government, and get jobs. Another thing which we have been trying to do in South Sudan is being a bit innovative and creative. For example, my organization decided to do what they call a business plan competition. So they advertise and they advertise in the newspapers and ask people to apply and come up with creative business ideas, that whether hard or soft business ideas, which they can come
That's
up
really
with.
brilliant.
Yeah, and they get sponsored. And the winning entries, it's something that's done yearly. The winning entries usually get money, and not little money.
Like an award.
They get an award, and they get like up to $20,000.
Oh wow, that's a very good amount of money to start. Yeah, to start a business.
Especially in South Sudan. There are people who get as low as $1,000, but there are people who get as high as $20,000, depending on the business idea and the innovation techniques.
For how long the government run that project?
So this project has been running since 2007,
Okay.
6-7, yes.
And how many youth that you are targeting every year?
So they target 10. It's a small number, but at least it's been making a difference. So we have 10 states in South Sudan, and they target 10 youth in every state.
Per state, okay.
So the 10 best from each state, so 100 for the 10,000 award, the 20,000 award. And then we had 1,200, for example, for the $1,000 award. And $1,000 is a lot of money. It can make a big difference in many lives. Yeah.
Okay. So my fourth question is for you. What do you think is the most important aspect of diplomacy in dealing with other countries related to the youth and employment issues?
I believe communication is key in every aspect of our lives. Without communication, we cannot relay the information that we really need. And it plays a big role in diplomacy. Communication really has to be clear, has to be elaborate, inclusive, and it has to reach the right stakeholders. You need to be able to talk to the correct people, make the correct networks or connections, so that you're able to get going with either the ideas you have, the projects you have, and this will assist in relaying necessary information that one needs.
I have another question for you. How do you think that the gender role plays a very important key in youth and employment? And is there like a number of women who actually applied for this award, or just only focusing on men? I mean, coming from the Middle East and all these regions, so we understand the cultures and the norms that we have.
Yes, unfortunately, gender remains one of the biggest issues in many of our developing countries. Yeah, and like you say, it could be worse in others, for example, the Middle East. But I'm glad that one of the steps my organization took was to include gender as a key component of all its projects, regardless of what project it is, and ensure not a minimum of 30% of minority groups or groups that we feel have not equally got fair shares of, or who are not benefiting directly, are given a chance this time to benefit, whether it's in project implementation, project preparation, or in whatever the way they can contribute. So like, for example, in the business plan competition, the criteria was to have at least 50% of the awards go to at least the ladies, so long as they have qualified. Yeah, and
That's a very smart.
It was a smart idea. We didn't get 50%. I think we got about 30 or 40.
Yeah, but that's a very good
it's
percentage.
Still,
Yeah,
it's
just
still
like to
good.
stop. Yeah, for start.
Yeah, and this goes a long way in supporting the women, the children. I mean, they say, you know, when the mother has an income, it's likely that the children are not going to sleep hungry, you know. So
Fair enough.
Yeah. So it was a very successful project. Many of the projects have been doing very well despite the war. So we hope that these initiatives will go on and we can get continued funding to support these very important small and medium-sized businesses.
As you mentioned that the war, that's actually comes to my second question is how do you think the conflict actually affected the youth in particularly to find jobs? I'm really aware about what's going on in Sudan, especially in South Sudan. And what do you think that how do you think the conflict affected the youth and employment?
Yeah, the conflict has negatively affected all aspects of the country, and socially, economically, politically. So the youth, of course, were not spared in this. And we had many youth who, for example, were involved in their private businesses. Unfortunately, they lost their businesses, were either vandalized or they lost their stock. Of course, people who were now looking for jobs, the jobless, now even have less opportunities to find jobs, because we found most organizations have left the country. Government is operating at low scale. The few organizations that are left are also operating at a low scale because there's not much activity. It's very unfortunate situation that has taken the country some steps
Backwards, yeah.
And this, of course, is affecting the youth. And we have had crime increases. That's the main problem. And of course, these crimes are mainly perpetrated by youth. So it's a very difficult position for the country right now.
So thank you very much, Christine, and wish you all the best with your fellowship.
Thank you very much, FADIA, for the opportunity, and looking forward to talking to you again. Thank you.